None of them are kids.
Really?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, because what happened was, it wasn't exactly, we don't have a grade associated with tonight, and no makela. And I told people that I had just gotten over COVID. So the whole thing just,
Kind of shrunk down.
yep, up. We just doubled, we just more than doubled. We added 60% to our congregational load tonight. That's what happens when there's no grade, no makela, and the rabbis got COVID.
Details.
That's right. But I'm a week since COVID. Well, 6 days since COVID.
How are you feeling?
I feel 100% fine.
Good.
But regardless of how I feel, what matters is that second line on the test strip, and that's all that matters. Like I can easily say, "Oh, it's no big deal," but not everybody else will agree with me saying.
How is Sella? Is she okay?
Oh yeah, she's great.
Okay, no, I didn't know whether you got it on the plane or whatever.
Oh, I got it on the plane. I think,
Okay.
or when I got home, for all we know. Hi.
Well, I'm glad you're feeling better.
I know. Now we just added 20% more to our congregation. All right, so let's have a little fun. So let's start with Hine Matov. So let's mute everybody. Hine Matov. How do I mute? I don't even remember how to do this. Mute. How do I mute all? It's been so long since I've done this. Mute all. Did it. That's so funny. This goes to show how long it's been since I've, been in charge of Zoom, that I couldn't remember how to mute everybody. Okay, so let's begin with a little bit of Shabbat. This is how good it is to be together. All 6 of you, and the 5 over 6 of you on Zoom. So join me. Hine matovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matovu manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov manayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Well, we just added one more. So now, Jonathan outside said, "You think we'll get a minion in there?" And I guess if you include everyone on Zoom, then we definitely have one. But if you don't include our Zoomers, then that's a little different. It's the perfect storm, as we've been joking. If it's a family service and you don't have a grade associated with it, and on top of it, no junior choir. So adults don't come because it's a family service. Kids aren't here because they don't have a specific grade. The junior choir isn't here because the cantor's not here, and I'm getting over COVID, right? We've basically done everything we can to say stay away from our synagogue, but you still came, and I appreciate it. So our service continues with the lighting of the Shabbat candles. You can find it on page 120. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. And Kiddush, page 123. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho b'ahava uvratzon hinchilanu, zikaron lema'aseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techila lemikra'ei kodesh, zecher letziyat mitzrayim, ki vanu v'acharta, v'yotanu kidashta, mikol ha'amim, v'shabbat kodshecha, B'ahava uvratzon hinchaltanu, Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat. Amen. We haven't quite figured out how to eat and drink with the masks on. Everything else we're starting to figure out, but not that. Okay, so our service continues with Dodi Lee, the beautiful song for Shabbat, which comes from elements of the book of Song of Songs. This is Dodi Lee. Dodi li va'ani lo ha'roeh b'shoshanim. Dodi li va'ani lo ha'roeh b'shoshanim. Mihizotola min hamidbar, mihizotola Nekuteret mor ulevona, Dodi li, page 129. Va'ani lo ha'roeh b'shoshanim. Dodi li, va'ani lo ha'roeh b'shoshanim. Libavtini achoti chala, libavtini chala, libavtini achoti chala, libavtini chala. Dodi li va'ani lo ha'roeh b'shoshanim. Dodi li va'ani lo ha'roeh b'shoshanim. Ori tafo uvo iteman, ori tafo uvo iteman. Dodi li va'ani lo ha'roeh b'shoshanim. Dodi li va'ani lo ha'roeh b'shoshanim. All right, so our service continues with the Baruch Hu, which is on 146, And I'd like to invite everyone, if you don't mind, to please rise. At least if you're here, please rise. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch hu et Adonai Hamevorach. Baruch Adonai Hamevorach Hamevorach Leolam Vaed. So please remain standing. We're on 149, and I'd love to invite you to please read with me again, 149. Let's see, one second. Yes. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and season glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars. Creator of the tide of time and light, you guide the current of day into night. As heaven spans to infinity, you set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Baruch atah Adonai, Hama'ariv Aravim. Shema is on page 152. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto, Leolam Vaed. Please be seated. We are on page 154. Join me with the V'ahavta. V'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha. Vishinantam levanecha, vidibarta baham, b'shivtecha b'veitecha, uvlechtecha vaderech, uvshochbecha uvkumecha, ukshartam leot al yadecha, v'hayu letotafot ben enecha, uchtavtam amzuzot betecha, uvisha'arecha. Leman tizkeru vasitem et kol mitzvotai vitem kedoshim leloechem. Ahani Adonai Eloechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem leElohim. Ani Adonai Elohechem. Page 157. Join me. English, top of the page. Standing on the parted shores of history, we still believe what we were taught before ever we stood at Sinai's foot. That wherever we go, it is eternally Egypt, that there is a better place, a promised land, that the winding way to that promise passes through the wilderness, that there is no way to get from here to there except by joining hands and marching together. Page 158. This is Micha Mocha. Micha Mocha ba'elim Adonai mi kamocha nehedar bakodesh. Nora tehilot osefele, Nora tehilot osefele. Malchutecha ra'uvanecha bokei hayam lifnei Moshe uMiriam ze Elianu ve'ameru Adonai yimloch, Adonai yimloch, le'olam va'ed. Our prayer for Shabbat is called Vishamru, unique for Shabbat. It talks about how it is a day, it's a covenant between God and Israel. 6 days God made heaven and earth, but on the seventh day God rested. This is again Vishamru, and you can find it on page 162. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam beridolam Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael Oti leolam Oti leolam Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasod et ha-Shabbat ledorotam beridolam Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et ha'aretz ve'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam beridolam Uvayom hashvi'i shavat vaynafash shavat vaynafash shavat vaynafash ve'shamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Lasot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam beridolam. So our service continues with the tefillah, which begins with Adonai Sifatai Tiftach, and that can be found on page 164. And then it continues on 166, 168, and 170 with the remainder of the tefillah, at least the part that we are going to do. You can, again, we start on page 164 with Adonai Sifatai Tiftach, and if you're present, I'd like to ask you to rise. Please rise. Anananananana Adonai Anananananana Sfatai Tiftach Anananananana Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha Anananananana Adonai Ananananana Sfatai Tiftach Ananananana Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Last time. Ananananana Adonai Ananananana Sfatai Tiftach Ananananana Ufi Yagid Tehilatecha. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Leah, Elohei Rachel, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor VaNorah, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Koneh HaKol, V'Zocher Chasdei Ahavot V'Imahot, U'Mevi Gula Livnei V'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham V'Ezrat Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechayei Kol Atah Rav Lehoshia, Mashiv Haruach U'Morid Hagashem, Mechalkel Chayim Bechesed, Mechayei Hakol Berachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofech Olim, Umatir Asurim, Umekayem Emunato, Lishenei Afar, Michamocha Bal Givurot, Umido Melach, Melech Memid Umechayeh, Umatzmiach Yeshua, V'ne'eman Atah Chayot HaKol, Baruch Atah Adonai, Mechayei HaKol, Atah Kadosh V'Shimcha Kadosh, U'Kdoshim B'chol Yom Yalelu Chasela, Baruch Atah Adonai, Ha'el HaKadosh. Please be seated. Thank you. So, another English reading. Let's, page 175. You are with us in our prayer, our love, and our doubt, in our longing to feel your presence and do your will. You are the still, clear voice within us. Therefore, O God, when doubt troubles us, when anxiety makes us tremble, when pain clouds the mind, we look inward for the answer to our prayers. There may we find you, and there find courage, insight, and endurance. And let our worship bring us closer to one another, that all Israel and all who seek you may find new strength for your service. Baruch Atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod. All right, so evening prayer for peace called Shalom Rav. It's on 178. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Ki atahu melech adon lechol hashalom. Ata hu melech adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha tasim leolam. Tasim leolam, Tasim leolam. So, I was wondering if I was gonna, do the Mishaberach part or not, because, it's a family service. We don't typically do it, but then I knew probably who knew mostly adults. So, and since we are fairly intimate congregation, we certainly have the capacity to do Mishaberach if we want to. But first, before we do Mishaberach, we start with some joyous things. And so if anyone wants to share any joy before we continue with prayers for healing, now's the moment. If you have any joy you want to share, yeah, that's good. That's fantastic. Olivia is not in middle school still? Olivia, I don't know if I have a microphone out, but I know it's kind of probably, I'm not sure if it's picking up everything, but Olivia, or she just passed her boards and she's a medical assistant. That's amazing. Physician's assistant, excuse me. Also tough. Anybody else here want to share any joy? I see Laura wants to. Oh, wait, Karen, you want to? Thank you. I appreciate my healing here, but I am fine. COVID is a real mystery to me these days. I mean, if you're vaccinated, it really doesn't have to be so bad. And certainly isn't so bad for me, but thank you so much for saying it. No doubt about it. Laura, you want to share joy?
Yes. My joy was that I was able, my brother-in-law Bob is on tonight, and we were able to chat before services.
Oh, that's nice.
And he actually, there he is. And I'm also going to out him. It is his birthday tomorrow.
Your birthday?
I'm so glad that I could get a chance to see him for his birthday.
Bob? Bob what?
Yes.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bob. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Bob. What are you going to be? 37, 42, 51. Up. I'll just 61. Up. 71. All right, we're stopping at 71. Mazel tov.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to share joy before we Baruch atah Adonai gomel chasadim tovim. We praise you, Adonai, our God, for you are partners with us in the various elements of joy that are in our lives. Along with the joy, of course, is a recognition that some of our loved ones are struggling right now. We sang a song of Shalom, Shalom Rav, but in truth, Shalom means wholeness, and we know that so many people don't have that sense of wholeness. And so if anyone wants to share the name of a person who is in need of healing, first let me begin with the blessing, and halfway through I'll give you a chance to share any names that you want or a blessing for healing. The blessing for Mishaberach begins like this. Mishaberach avotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov v'imotenu Sarah Rivka Leah v'Rachel, which means may the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Leah, and Rachel, hu yivarech v'yiraped kol hacholim shelanu. May God bless and may God heal all of our loved ones who are in need of healing, especially the ones whom we name at this time. And so, if you'd like to share a name of someone who is in need of healing and you're in this sanctuary, please feel free to do so. Thank you. And on Zoom, Laura, I don't know if that's your hand or if that was from before.
No, this is for now.
Okay.
Reva Kelly, Ariane Fry, Maral Tara, and Steve McCarroll, and Rabbi Ari Goldstein.
I'm fine. Thank you very much. And anybody else want to share? Steve, do I see your finger up saying you want to share a person's name? Unmute yourself and go ahead. You're still muted.
Robert Norman? I got it. Bobby Wendell and Glenn Carr.
Thank you. Bob, who did you say?
Robert Norman?
Thank you. Anybody else want to share a name for healing? And allow me also to add the names of Eric Harris, Laura McDaniel, Mark Koppelman, Rich Harrison, and Alvin Jeweler. Mishlach lehem bimheira refuah shalema. May God send them speedily a complete recovery. Refuah tanefesh v'refuah taguf, a healing of body and a healing of spirit. B'toch sha'ar cholei Yisrael, amongst all who are in need of healing. V'nomar, amen. Now, if you join me, we continue with the blessing of Mishaberach for healing. Mishaberach avotenu mekor habracha leimotenu. May the source of strength, who blessed the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Mishaberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen. So we take a moment now in silence, any way you wish. Ose shalom bimromav, uyase shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, v'himru, imru, amen. Yase shalom, Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'ako Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'ako Yisrael. Yaseh Shalom, Yaseh Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'ako Yisrael. So, just a few brief words, and it's so funny because once again I tell you that this is one of the more bizarre Shabbats we have on the calendar. It's a family service, and that's why for those of you who came on, whether on Zoom or in person late, it's because we started half an hour earlier because it's family service, but as you can see, all the families here, and that's because we don't really have a grade associated with it, and junior choir's not here. There's no dinner tonight, and so it's a little bizarre. And so as I was, I tell a story on family service, and but at the same time, I didn't want to go and tell a story that was too kid-oriented, because I had a feeling that it was going to be mostly people who were not kids here. And so I was thinking about something I could talk about, and that was connected to something that's happening right now in the, I don't want to say the news, but you may or may not know about this. But tomorrow has been designated by neo-Nazis and fascists across America as a day of hate. Lovely, right? At least they're not hiding their agenda. It's just hate, right? It reminds me of like professional wrestling. You know, when they would talk about something very bad was going to happen, or right? It's like we can all agree that it's just frowned upon, right? And it's this day of hate is something which is just bad, and and it's directed towards Jews specifically, not other minorities, just Jews. So, if you find yourself in a questionably anti-Semitic area, maybe make sure you put your Star of David or something, tuck it in your shirt tomorrow, because the day of hate is for real. We're going to have police officers around the temple all day, even though nothing is happening until the evening here. And that's just unfortunately the world we live in. And that's what it means to be a Jew. And I wanted to share with you a very brief story, which I was going to maybe share in a different context, but now I share in this context, about Louis Brandeis. Louis Brandeis, aside from being known for having a college named after him, is best known for being a justice of the Supreme Court. And he studied at Harvard. That should come as no surprise. And he was an outstanding law student at Harvard. That should come as no surprise. What might come as a surprise to you, though, is that he had many friends at Harvard. Now, maybe, I don't know if I would call them friends or not, but he had lots of people who interacted with him. And typically, what they would do is they would say to him, knowing just how bright he was and what an extraordinary jurist he was clearly going to become, that they would say that he should renounce his Judaism. That he should say he's no longer a Jew, because the fact that he's a Jew was going to hold him back, and that he won't be able to reach the heights that he certainly is destined for because he's a Jew. Now, maybe that might not be something that we can fully identify with now, but it certainly was back 60, 70 years ago, 80 years ago when he was a student at Harvard. Harvard doesn't have, we like to think of it as an enlightened, sophisticated place. It has a fair number of things, skeletons in its closet, which they would prefer to keep in the closet. Well, time after time, people would join him in the lunchroom and say, hey, if only you weren't a Jew. Say something, do something, tell us you don't care about your Judaism. Well, they couldn't deny his scholarship, and he was appointed to the Honor Society, the first Jew in the law school honor society ever. And this is such a prestigious society that when it happens, all the students gather and the newly inducted people give speeches. And Brandeis's speech at the Honor Society was going to be perhaps of the most consequence because he was understood to be the top of the class. At Harvard, everyone is going to be a great lawyer, and to imagine that the greatest lawyer amongst a bunch of great lawyers. So Brandeis steps up to the stage that he's speaking at. And he takes his place, and he looks out at everybody. And the first thing he says is, surprisingly, ladies and gentlemen, I am sorry that I was born a Jew. And the room erupts. People go crazy. Finally, Brandeis has seen the light, disconnect himself, disassociate with his Judaism. And then who knows what he has in store. And the next line he says, I'm sorry I was born a Jew because I didn't have the opportunity to choose to be a Jew. And that is the story of, and then there was silence in that room. However, legend has it that they still applauded at the end because they knew that he was something special. And yes, he became a Supreme Court jurist and really one of the greats. But all that to say, there are times in which we may very well worry about how being a Jew can bring us down, or it can be a hindrance to us, or it can cause us pain. But the reality is that there might be struggles from time to time. There might be days of hate that we have to contend with. But there are so many things in our tradition, in our faith, and in our heritage that not just is worthy to be proud of, but is so begging for us to embrace and choose. And so, in the spirit of Brandeis, we all want to be Jews by choice, not just Jews by birth. So, yeah. Now, I should ask, just because it's a family service, even though something tells me that I may not get any takers, but anybody's birthday in February? No. All right. If it is your birthday and you're watching on stream and you want to come at some point later this week and get yourself a Temple Beth Shalom birthday scratch-off. Watch this. Hold on. I am zooming in for those who are watching on stream. A birthday scratch-off. Right there. You can come and get it when it's your birthday. And you scratch it off, and there are lots of possible prizes you can get. Gift cards, cash prizes, cups, pencils, stress balls, all sorts of great things are available to you when it's your birthday. In any event, let's continue with Aleinu. You can find it on page 586. And again, if you are here with us in the sanctuary, I'd like to ask you to rise. 586. Aleinu l'shabeach ladon hakol latet gedula liotzer breshit shelo asanu kigoye haratzot velo samanu kamishpachot ha'adama shelo sam chelkenu kahem vegor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim umishtachavim umodim lifnei melech malchei hamlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu V'neman V'haya Adonai L'melech al kol ha'aretz Bayom hahu Yeh Adonai echad Ushemo echad. Please be seated for those of you who are here. So at this time, we bring to mind our loved ones who are no longer with us. We recognize that some people have passed away quite recently. Others have passed away on this Shabbat over the years. We call this their yahrzeit. All of them we lovingly remember. And so allow me to share with you first names of people who have passed away quite recently. These are people whose, we are in the first month, the month of Shloshim, of month of intensive mourning. We remember Jean Schwartz, the second mother of Dana Schalheim, Edwin Landis, father of Brian Landis, Beatrice Fox, mother of David Fox, and Phil Roeder, husband of Gina Roeder. We also remember at this time these loved ones whose yahrzeits occur on this Shabbat, the anniversary of their passing. Leonard Berman and Morris Feldman and Mark Levinger and Calvin Taylor, Pamela Forbes, Madeline Greenspan, Saul Levine, Peter Mathis, Tilly Shador, Nancy Beard, Kitty Glick Weiner, Itka Krugman, Jerry Kurzban, Gerald Lenrau, Fred Littman, Debbie McCarrow, Zach Roeder, Selby Saltz, Berta Weiner, Ruth Beck, Gerard Cherig, Hyman Fox, Carol Orr, Jacob Roscoe, Moses Fox, and June Gelbart. And so in gratitude for their lives and linking their names with the rest of our loved ones who have passed away, we remember them all with the words of our mourner's prayer, which is called the Kaddish. You can find it on page 598 in your Siddur, in your prayer book. And if you wish, and it's your custom, I invite you to please rise. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah v'yalma divra chiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayeh dechal beit Yisrael v'agalau v'zman kariv v'imru. Amen. Shemei rabbah mevarach le'alam ulamei almaya v'barach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudsha brichu Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechemata, damiram bi'ama v'imru. Amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya, chayim aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, v'yaseh shalom aleinu v'yakol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to every bereaved heart. Amen. Please be seated. Okay. So our service is coming to a conclusion. Allow me to share a handful of announcements before we go. So if you have someone who is 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade, or know someone in that vicinity, there is a youth group casino night. We are teaching them how to gamble early. Casino night here at the temple tomorrow night at 6 p.m. My guess is it's not real gambling. My guess. I don't know that with certainty, but that's my guess. Sunday, men's club comedy cavalcade. It's funny enough just to be the thought of a bunch of crotchety old men telling jokes is hilarious. And the jokes are generally very funny. So that is at 9:45 on Sunday. However, stay afterwards because the Yom HaShoah boxes that we ship out, or that the men's club ships out, Temple families, they'll be assembling those as well immediately after the cavalcade. My various different classes, Torah study on Monday mornings at 9:30, and sage study of our sages at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evenings. Both are meeting this week. See the temple email for various links or information about it. Men's Club has their weekly lunch at the Double T Diner. That's on Tuesday at 12. The Purim Spiel and Carnival. The Purim story, the Spiel, and the Carnival all happening on Sunday starting at 9:30 in the morning. Again, see the email for information. And then there's an adult Purim celebration on Tuesday evening at 7. And finally, just want to tell you about the temple first annual means we are definitely doing this in the future. You can't have a first annual without promising to do it in the future. And it's our cook-off, and that is on Saturday the 11th. So all this, see the weekly email for more information. Now, let me also say thank you so much to Jonathan Baran, who served as an usher. He is outside guarding the door on the evening before the Day of Hate. I should say this. I don't think that the neo-Nazis start their day at the sundown like the Jews do, but if they do, then it would start tonight. But since my guess is that neo-Nazis don't go by the Jewish evening-to-evening calendar system, still, thank you so much to Jonathan for serving as an usher. Thank you so much to Carolyn John Judge, along with Missy Levin, Mark Miller, and Paul Schatzberg for sponsoring the Oneg Shabbat, which is out in the lobby immediately after our service. Thank you to everyone for being here. I really, really am so happy that you were here. We are going to do Motzi, and then one final song. So first Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. Struggling. You can have some challah later. Don't take this piece. Because I still am testing, I think I still am positive, even though I don't think I'm contagious anymore. So we conclude our service with Olam Chesed, really one of my favorites. You can't find it in the prayer book, but you can find it in the service booklet that was handed to you. So Olam Chesed Yibaneh is how we conclude our service. Olam chesed yibaneh, Olam chesed yibaneh, Olam chesed yibaneh, Olam chesed yibaneh. I will build this world from love. And you must build this world from love. And if we build this world from love, then God will build this world from love. Olam chesed yibaneh, Olam chesed yibaneh, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thanks for being here. Yalla, la, la, yalla, la, yalla, la, yalla, la, yalla, la, la, yalla, la, yalla, yalla, la, yalla, la, yalla, la, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, Yalla, yalla, la, 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 yalla, la, 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 yalla, la, 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 yalla, la, 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 yalla, la, la, la. Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya.